The CIA has expanded its reach beyond anything thought imaginable when it was founded in 1947 as a Cold War spy agency intended to protect us from totalitarian regimes like the Soviet Union and Maoist China. But now it's the CIA itself that has become the totalitarian threat, as a tranche of WikiLeaks documents known as Vault 7 reveals. The man who leaked those documents, Josh Schulte, is now facing 40 years in prison. It wasn't just for giving the public some much needed sunlight on how the agency is trampling on our constitutional rights. It was for offending the judge and jury with a remark comparing the New York City jail to a Nazi prison camp. This is justice nowadays, convicting and sentencing defendants based on political narratives and not solely on the law. That is not to excuse Mr. Schulte for any crimes he may have committed, but those pale in comparison to the crimes being committed by the CIA itself, which we are often told is supposed to be a foreign-only spy agency. Those days are long since gone. Vault 7 is the largest tranche of documents ever released exposing the darkest secrets of the CIA. The first part of the series, Year Zero, shows 8,761 documents from the CIA's Center for Cyber Intelligence in Langley. Shockingly, it reveals that, quote, the CIA lost control of the majority of its hacking arsenal, including malware, viruses, trojans, weaponized zero-day exploits, malware, remote control systems, and associated documentation. This extraordinary collection, which amounts to more than several 100 million lines of code, gives its processor the entire hacking capacity of the CIA. This is a U.S. security agency that just made the world infinitely more dangerous by creating intrusive cyber weapons that were just exposed to the world. If you don't think the Chinese have this tech, you're kidding yourself. They undoubtedly have it all. And here's what we're talking about. Year Zero reveals a malware arsenal and weaponized exploits that can be deployed against a wide range of U.S. and European company products, including Apple's iPhone, Google's Android, Microsoft Windows, and even Samsung TVs, which are turned into covert microphones. That's lovely. The WikiLeaks archive provided by persecuted journalist Julian Assange lists among its thousands of files a Project Assassin, which is as insidious as it sounds. It talks about injecting an implant into remote computers running Microsoft and turning them into listening posts. There's even a demon mode, which gives you some idea about how the CIA views taking possession of people's personal and private data. Now, one journalist who has been all over this story since the beginning is Radix Verum. Christina Orso, that is her Twitter handle. She has been following the Josh Schulte trial since 2020. She has noted that the almost total media blackout of this amazing case. And in a great thread on the social media platform X, she provided many intriguing and mortifying details. She noted that the password for the CIA's Devlin system was My Sweet Summer, and the Confluence password wasn't much better, ABC123. Dev. Sounds like my kindergartner came up with it. This is the level of OPSEC at the CIA for their entire cyber arsenal, as she noted, and over 200 people have access to Devlin. And now Christina Urso joins us herself. Look, I really hadn't heard much about this case. You are one of the few people covering it. Tell us about Josh and this lengthy sentence and why he, do you really, I mean, they say for insult, you know, the Nazi comment. Do you think that was it, why he got such an extensive sentence?
No, he's a 35-year-old computer engineer and ex-coder. He worked for the CIA. And I think what happened was, if you go back to March of 2017, when Vault 7 was released, this set off a firestorm inside the CIA because this was the biggest leak that had ever happened before. And at the time, the CIA had already created a WikiLeaks task force. And so when this was released, they really needed to find the leaker. So they were looking for who leaked this. And I think that Mr. Schulte, he had already had workplace complaints there. He had already left the CIA and was working for Bloomberg at the time. But this actually culminated inside the CIA with Director Mike Pompeo at the time ordering to kidnap and kill Julian Assange. They actually discussed in the CIA different ways that they could get Julian Assange. They discussed kidnapping him secretly and like bringing him to America for trial. And then they decided, well, we shouldn't do that. That'd be too obvious. They discussed assassinating him in the embassy. Now, for Mr. Schulte, He had 11 charges that were related to things like violating the Espionage Act, theft of national defense information. For 6.5 years, he was held at the MCC under torturous conditions. He claims that he was held in 23-hour-a-day isolation with blacked out windows, where he was bolted to the floor naked. And he said that the lights were on at all times. They were blasting in white noise. I think that the CIA was embarrassed. I think that Mr. Schulte was an easy target for them. And I think that they kind of identified him and worked backward to prove it from there. During the actual trial itself, there were a number of bizarre things. The CIA basically controlled the entire trial. They took over 2 floors of the Manhattan Federal Courthouse. His original lawyer, Sabrina Shroff, said that the CIA intimidated her. Mr. Schulte couldn't have any attorney-client privilege. Anything he wanted to discuss with his attorney had to go through a walled-off CIA employee, like a CIA liaison. So any work product he wanted to work with his lawyer on had to go through the CIA as a gatekeeper. So if he wanted to edit a document, all of that had to go through this gatekeeper. And she alleged also that they kept him under special administrative measures. It's called SAMs. And this special administrative measures basically means any information has to go through this CIA employee for national defense information. So she was threatened also with, if she put out any filings that revealed what the agency deemed, classified or violated national security, that she could be charged in the future. So it kind of created this conflict of interest between his lawyer and him of anything they were going to do on his behalf, they had to weigh against their own interest of, could we be charged for this? So that creates a conflict, and that violates his rights to having a fair trial, free from potential conflicts of interest.
Well, you have 20 seconds. Any chance at appeal from Mr. Schulte?
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Yeah. It's so sad. Look, the CIA makes sure they're making an example of him and sending a message to any other would-be leaker or whistleblower. And a lot of people don't know that, and we should talk about that again on another segment. We're running out of time. But a lot of people don't know about the Pompeo CIA Assange story, right? The plan to kill him. That has remained very much under wraps. Let's have you back and talk about that more in depth, because that's an important story that we feel like our viewers need to know in more detail. Great reporting as always, Christina. It's good to see you again. You can follow her on X at Not Radix, RADIX, Not Radix. She covers a lot of stories that you just don't see anywhere else. It's good to see you, Christina. Thank you.
Thank you.